Hello everyone. You might think reheating leftovers saves time and money, but for people over 60, it could quietly send you to the hospital. What if the food you thought was safe is the one increasing your risk of food poisoning? Today we're breaking down 3 common foods you should never reheat and 3 you absolutely must reheat properly to stay safe and strong after 60. Stick around, especially if you live alone or often prep meals in advance. This might change how you handle your food forever. And if you care about senior health, don't forget to like or share this video to help someone else stay safe. Number 1. Rice. The safe leftover that could send you to the ER. Hey everyone, here's something that might surprise you. Rice seems like the safest thing to reheat, right? But for anyone over 60, reheating rice incorrectly can make you very sick, even if it looks fine on the outside. Here's why. When cooked rice sits out for too long, like on the stove, in a rice cooker, or cooling on a countertop, it can absorb moisture from the air. That warm, sticky surface is the perfect environment for harmful bacteria to grow, even if you can't see or smell anything unusual. And here's the real danger. If you just reheat it quickly, like in a microwave, the heat may not spread evenly. That means some of those bacteria can survive the reheating process. And once you eat that rice, it can upset your stomach. Nausea, diarrhea, or even vomiting for hours, leaving you dehydrated and weak. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warns that adults over 60 are at much higher risk of being hospitalized for food poisoning like this, especially if you live alone or have diabetes, kidney problems, or other chronic conditions. So here are some of the simplest senior health tips you can follow. Never reheat rice that's been sitting out for more than 2 hours. If you do store it, cool it quickly in a shallow, covered container in the refrigerator. And when you reheat it, stir it well and make sure it's hot all the way through, not just warm on top. If you've ever reheated cold rice from the day before without thinking twice, comment 1 below. Let's help each other stay safe. Number 2, non-oily fish, when healthy, turns risky after reheating. You might think fish is one of the safest things you can eat after 60. It's light, easy to digest, and good for your heart, we're often told. But not all fish are created equal, and reheating some can actually do more harm than good. Lean fish, like cod, catfish, or tilapia, dry out very quickly when you reheat them. What started out as a soft, flaky dinner can turn into a tough, rubbery mess that's hard to chew, hard to swallow, and nearly impossible to digest for those with sensitive stomachs. And here's the real concern. Many older adults already deal with dry mouth, dentures, or difficulty swallowing. Reheating dried fish can increase your risk of choking, cause indigestion, or leave you feeling bloated and uncomfortable for hours. Worse still, fish that isn't stored or reheated properly can harbor surface spoilage, especially if it's been left out in the open or comes from a source with questionable hygiene. For seniors, even mild symptoms of food poisoning like nausea or fatigue can quickly escalate into serious complications. It's a risk not worth taking. So here's one of the smarter senior health tips to follow. Eat lean fish fresh, immediately after cooking. If you must preserve leftovers, reheat them gently with moist heat, such as steaming or boiling, and make sure the texture is soft, moist, and safe to swallow. If it looks dry or smells off, throw it out without a doubt. If you've always trusted light foods like fish, then this next one might catch you off guard too, especially if you often save your greens for later. Number 3, cooked leafy greens. Why reheating this healthy side can backfire. Hey, let's talk about something green and good, or at least it started out that way. Spinach, kale, collard greens. They're packed with nutrients and often show up in seniors' diets for good reason. But here's what most people don't realize. Once you cook these veggies and put them in the fridge, they're not the same. When you heat leafy greens, especially in the microwave, they change very quickly. The texture becomes mushy, the color darkens, and the smell sometimes gets a little off. But it's not just about taste or appearance. These soft, wilted veggies can be harder to digest, especially for seniors with slower metabolisms or sensitive stomachs. And here's what most people over 60 need to hear. If the vegetables have been sitting out too long after cooking or not stored properly, simply reheating them won't fix the problem. In fact, it can lock in the spoilage. A bad portion can lead to bloating, cramps, or an unexpected trip to the bathroom. So here's one of the smarter senior health tips for everyday eating. Cook fresh vegetables and only cook what you need. If you really want to preserve leftovers, cool them quickly, cover them, and reheat them gently with a little water, but never for more than a day or two. And if they smell funny or look slimy, don't bother eating them, throw them away. If this has you rethinking how long you store food before reheating, type 3 below. Sometimes it's the little habits that matter most. You know, leftovers may seem like a smart, no-waste option, but not everything is suitable for reheating. Take rice, for example. It's simple, filling, but if it's been sitting out too long before being put in the fridge, reheating it can do more harm than good. Your stomach may not thank you for that convenience. Same goes for fish, especially white, flaky fish. Reheated fish dries out very quickly. It loses its tenderness and becomes tough, making it difficult to chew and even less enjoyable to eat. And for older people, that kind of texture can be not only unpleasant, but downright dangerous. Then there's your greens, spinach, kale. They're great right out of the oven, but after a night in the fridge, they're mushy, they smell weird, and they're not worth the risk. So here's a gentle reminder, just because the food is still in the fridge doesn't mean it should go back on your plate. A fresh, simple meal can be a safer option. And if you need a quick checkup, that's what these senior health tips are for. Of course, not all leftovers are risky. Some foods actually become safer and better for you when you take the time to reheat them properly. For seniors in particular, thoroughly reheating certain foods is not only a matter of taste, but also a matter of protecting your health. Let's take a look at a few foods that should never be eaten cold. Number 4, soups and stews. When almost hot isn't safe enough. Okay, let's talk about soup, the kind you save for rainy days, thinking it's the safest, most comforting thing to eat. And most of the time it is. But here's the part that people often miss. When you reheat soup or stew, especially one with meat or beans, it's not just about warming it. It's about heating it evenly from the inside out. You see, soup heats unevenly. The broth evaporates quickly. But what about the beef in the middle? Or the beans at the bottom? They might still be just lukewarm. And that's where the trouble starts. If that middle doesn't reach a high enough temperature, whatever's lurking inside can cause problems. Maybe not right away, but a few hours later, your stomach might start to feel uncomfortable. Your energy might drop. and suddenly you're spending more time in the bathroom than at the dinner table. For seniors, especially those with slower digestive systems or chronic conditions, that kind of discomfort can be not only uncomfortable, but dangerous. So here's one of the most overlooked senior health tips. When reheating soup, don't just stir the top layer and call it a day. Bring it to a full boil if you're heating it on the stove. If you're microwaving, stir halfway through and check to see if it's steaming hot from top to bottom. If you thought soup was tricky to reheat evenly, just wait until we talk about chicken, because what's hiding near the bone can be even harder to catch. Number 5. Leftover chicken. When warm enough just isn't safe enough. Hey, let's talk about that leftover chicken sitting in your fridge. Maybe it's a thigh from last night's dinner or a wing from Sunday's roast. You take it out, microwave it for a minute, and when it feels hot to the touch, you think it's fine. But here's the tricky part. Chicken, especially bone-in or skin-on chicken, doesn't heat evenly. The outside heats up quickly, but the middle, near the bone, stays cold for longer. And that's where any lingering bacteria can take root, even if the surface feels hot. You might not notice anything right away, but what happens a few hours later? You feel a little off. Maybe your stomach is upset, or you're just exhausted. And if your immune system is already a little weaker, which happens naturally as we get older, then just a little bit can be enough to knock you off your feet. So here are some of the most practical senior health tips to remember. Always reheat leftover chicken thoroughly. If there are bones, reheat longer. Use the stove or oven if possible, or if you are using a microwave, cut the chicken into smaller pieces first and stir or rotate halfway through. Make sure the chicken is steaming hot from the inside out before you take your first bite. Not sure if your chicken was fully reheated before digging in? Leave a 5. We've all been there, and it's worth slowing down. Number 6. Frozen meals, hot on the outside, trouble on the inside. Hey, let's talk about those frozen meals we all keep around for busy days. They're convenient, time-saving, and on nights when cooking seems overwhelming, they're a quick fix. But here's the thing, just because the top layer is bubbly doesn't mean the inside is safe to eat. Whether it's lasagna, meat pies, or frozen casseroles, these meals are solid. And when you pop them in the microwave or even the oven, the heat often doesn't spread evenly. You have a hot edge and a warm surface, but the middle, still icy cold or barely thawed. You eat a few bites thinking it's okay, but then later in the evening, your stomach starts to protest. Maybe you feel nauseous, bloated, or even a little feverish. For older adults, even a mild reaction like that can leave you feeling tired all day. So here's one of the most overlooked senior health tips. Always follow the reheating instructions closely and even overdo it. Stir well if it's a microwavable dish. Use a thermometer if you have one, or cut into the middle and make sure it's piping hot, not just warm. If you're not sure, reheat it a little longer. Frozen meals may be quick, but your health deserves a little more patience. Ever had a frozen dinner that was hot outside but icy in the middle? Let us know with a 6, it happens, and now we know how to fix it. And you know, frozen meals aren't the only things that need a little heat. Some foods, like soups, chicken, or even simple takeout deli, may seem ready after a quick reheat, but they're not really safe until they're evenly heated from the inside out. It's easy to assume that if the outside is steaming, the inside is fine. But for people our age, Eating warm food that hasn't been thoroughly heated can lead to an upset stomach, or worse, days of feeling completely exhausted. So next time you grab some leftovers or something straight from the freezer, slow down a bit. Let it heat up properly. Your body will thank you for it. It's one of those senior health tips that seems like a small thing but makes a big difference. So now you know it's not just what you reheat that matters, it's how you reheat it. From checking in between meals to limiting the number of times you reheat something, these small habits can make a big difference in protecting your gut, your energy, and your peace of mind. For seniors, making these changes early isn't just about comfort, it's about staying safe, independent, and healthy in the long run. The core message of today's video is, some foods should never be reheated. Others should be reheated thoroughly, but either way, your health deserves extra care in the kitchen. If you find these senior health tips helpful, be sure to follow HEALZO for more simple, science-backed advice like this. And don't forget to drink enough water, stay active, schedule a checkup, and share this video with someone who might need a reminder. We're all in this together, eating smarter and living healthier.